Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we are going to be ranking the McCoy era, the 7th Doctor era. Having recently seen Happiness Patrol for the first time, I have officially seen all of Sylvester McCoy's TV era, all 3 seasons, every story. My first classic Doctor, I have seen all of their stuff. That's pretty cool, and a nice accomplishment, and I appreciate Lance sending me the Happiness Patrol so I could see that, and I can have seen all of that era. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rank his era, my stories, my list, from worst to best. It's interesting because it's not a completely objective list, but it's not a completely subjective list. I had a lot of problems making this list, and I really think this list would change if I did it next week, and if I did it next week. I think I could do this list probably for 4 weeks straight, and it would probably be different every time, at least a little bit. It's interesting because, like, I knew it wasn't a completely objective list, but then I realized when I finished the list it wasn't a completely subjective list, because the story that's number 1 isn't my favorite McCoy story to watch. And then I started thinking about it. What is my favorite McCoy story to watch? And then I realized it depends on my mood, because McCoy's stories are so tonally different. His seasons are so tonally different that it really just depends on what I'm in the mood to watch. So I don't know if I really have a favorite McCoy story. It just depends on my mood. So this list is a combination of which ones I think objectively are the best and which ones I subjectively like the most. It's kind of a meeting in the middle of the two. It was a very hard list to do. Literally, the only easy part of this list was the top 2 bottom ones. The top 2 bottom ones were pretty easy. After that, it required a lot of thought. And we will start at the bottom. We have 12 stories to get through, and starting with number 12. Delta and the Bannerman. Now, I don't hate Delta and the Bannerman. I just get very bored by Delta and the Bannerman. I don't find it interesting. I hate when the busload of people get killed. I mean, they just die. I was not expecting that. When they just die, I'm like, isn't this supposed to be the campy, silly era of Doctor Who? I just watched a busload of people die. I'm like, is he going to save them through, like, timey-wimey shenanigans? Nope. They're dead. They're all gone. And they would have lived if the one guy hadn't dropped the original thing the Doctor made. He just kind of dropped it, oopsie, and they all die. Humpty Dumpty couldn't put that back together again. I don't know, the whole green baby thing, the guy turning himself like her so he can be with her, it's weird. I like the guy playing the villain. He's great. I really like him in it. And then I like the kind of guest girl in it, Riley, is that her name? The one that could have been a companion. I like her in it too. But overall, just uninteresting. Number 11 on the list. The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. This is probably the most overrated McCoy story in my opinion. I don't understand the love for this one. It has things I like. The guy playing the head clown, great. That dude is like a mime genius when he's like moving and what he does with his face. That guy's great. I like the werewolf girl as well. She's really cool. The actress does a good job there. Some of it just seems weird though, like the Dr. Livingston looking character. It just feels out of place there. I'm watching him like, this feels like, I don't know, fluff. I don't like it. Then the whole gods thing, when the Doctor's playing to the gods, I'm sitting there going, this is just silly. This is like season 24 McCoy. When you hear people joke about stereotypical season 24 McCoy, Time in the Ronnie McCoy, that's it right there in season 25 of Greatest Show in the Galaxy when he's doing all these little tricks, and I just don't get that one. I like some of it. Of course, that iconic shot of him walking away in the tent blowing up, that's cool. But I really don't like this one. Like I said, these two are really easy to do because I know I don't really care for them. I don't hate them, I just don't like them. From here on out, the list gets harder. Number 10 is Silver Nemesis. This is more due to the fact I haven't seen Silver Nemesis in a while, since Season 25, of course, is the only season I don't own because I have the season 24 and 26 box sets. And I don't own any of season 25 except for the Happiness Patrol now. I haven't watched Silver Nemesis in a good many years. I like it. I think it's underrated, but it is an inferior version of Remembrance of the Daleks. It is pretty much the same plot points. There is a lot going on in it. There's probably one group too many going after this thing that they're after in it. But it's mostly just down on the list because it's not overly fresh on my mind. Number 10 is Time and the Ronnie. Probably a little higher than some people would place it. But I'm very forgiving for Time and the Ronnie because, one, I don't take it too seriously. And then knowing all of the background things that were going on with this story, all of the background problems and issues really lets me be a little more forgiving with it. And to be honest, we're probably lucky it came out as good as it did. Andrew Cartmel hadn't come on yet as script editor. Pip and Jane had to change the story a lot. It was originally a Colin Baker story. Colin wouldn't come back for the regeneration. It was supposed to be in a forest. There's so much going on. There were so many problems with this story that we're lucky we got what we got. I think the regeneration was done well considering the situation. I actually like the glow effect on the face. We don't normally get that in Classic Who. So I give it a pass for that. I like the effect when they're in the little balls, the little exploding balls. That's a pretty neat looking Classic Who effect. I think the Tetrats look really good in it. The little bat-rat combination creatures, I think that costume works pretty well, actually. I was impressed with that. The makeup on the sorted lizard-looking people was done pretty well. Kato Mara is obviously having a ball in the time of her life here, and I love watching her. She looks like she's having so much fun, and I am so there for that. And plus, I tend to like stories when we get to see a new Doctor running around for a bit in his previous incarnation's outfit, and he does get to wear Six's outfit for a little bit in this, and I enjoy that as well. So, for what it is, I can appreciate Time in the Ronnie, and I don't think I don't think it deserves all of the hate it gets, considering the problematic nature of the production. Battlefield. I kind of thought this one would be higher because I do like Battlefield. The problem with the McCoy's story is I tend to love most of his stories to one degree or another. I've said before, I think it's the most underrated era in Doctor Who, and he's probably the most underrated Doctor in Doctor Who. I like Battlefield. We got the Brig back, and I'm always happy to see the Brigadier. I also like the other Brigadier in this, Bambera, or whatever her name is. I really like her a lot. The actress in her in this is good. I love Jean Marsh as Morgaine. She is fantastic. It's nice to have her back in Doctor Who. I like that Morgaine is a very fleshed out character, and I like that she does have her own sense of honor to her, which the Doctor plays on at the end to kind of save the day. His speech at the end is definitely one of the most underrated speeches in all of Doctor Who, when he lays into her about how she's not being very honorable. You know, are these the weapons you would use? Tell me! I love all of that. That's a really good speech. It has some problems. The incidental music is garbage. Like, they really need to do like a special edition of Battlefield where they completely rescore it. Get Mark Harris to completely rescore this, because the music for it is just atrociously bad. And then some of the shots with some of the knights when they're fighting the choreography looks like 60s Doctor Who bad. Like, it's not, they're just get in there and do some stuff. So it definitely has some flaws to it, but story-wise, it's great, and I enjoy it. I love the idea of a future incarnation of the Doctor being Merlin. I would love to see that explored in the modern show when he actually comes full circle and meets Arthur and all that. I really want to call back to that eventually. This one's going to be a little controversial and get me in trouble. Remembrance of the Daleks. And people are going to be like, Remembrance should be higher. Remembrance is great. And I like Remembrance. It has a lot of strong moments. I like actually seeing a Dalek going upstairs for a change. The Doctor's speech to Davros at the end is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. And that is the first time we really see Chess Master McCoy. Because at this point, everyone was used to more Season 24 McCoy. This is the first time here at the beginning of Season 25 where we got to see this darker side to the Doctor, and when you realize he's been playing Davros and the Daleks the whole time. So that had to be just mind-blowing when people first saw it, in, 1988 or so when it aired. I love that. I love Ace beating up the Dalek. I like Ace in this story a lot. But it has its silly moments. The little children's song that plays all the time annoys me. The little girl in the story annoys me. Finding out she's controlling one faction of the Dalek annoys me. The one guy who turns out to be a traitor annoys me. I didn't really care for the actor playing him. Maybe it's because I haven't seen the story in a while, but I didn't really care much for his acting. I don't know. Oh, and when the Dalek at the beginning comes out, it looks like it's on a remote control. That very first Dalek they fight, it doesn't seem like a real Dalek the way it moves. It just looks like a little remote control drone going around. But it has some other stuff I like. I love the weapons master Dalek or whatever you call it, the one with the big gun on the front. I love that thing. So that's pretty cool. And then I love how it has the little opening teaser, with the ship coming toward the planet. We don't really get that in Classic Who, so that was a nice little touch as well. So while I like Remembrance, the things that annoy me about Remembrance really annoy me about Remembrance. Remembrance is my least favorite 80s Dalek story, for a reason. Dragonfire. Most of you know I love Dragonfire, and I'm surprised it wasn't higher. I don't really like Kane in this story as much as some people. I find the actor playing him does a fine job. His death is pretty gruesome for Classic Who, actually. But just overall, I find him, anytime he's talking, I'm like, can we just get on with it? He seems very slow in his speech because he's trying to be evil. But it just kind of plods along with him sometimes. I love the 7th Doctor in it. I love meeting Ace. I don't really care so much for Mel, but at least we get to say goodbye to Mel. I love having Glitz back. I love Glitz. Tony is just so good as Glitz. It's nice to see Glitz interacting with the 7th Doctor here. I always tend to like when Glitz shows up. I like Glitz as a character. I just do. He's that lovable rogue. Even considering what he did to his crew, I still love him. And then I like the little alien creature. I think it's designed pretty well for a Classic Who budget. And I love that while obviously there's probably some influence from the Aliens movies in its design, I love the fact that the alien itself turns out to be a good, benevolent, pacifist-like creature. And it's just, guarding the little jewel there. I like that little twist you don't see coming. The one cliffhanger that's literally a cliffhanger is, it's bad. It's really bad. But looking past that, and looking past McCoy slipping around on the floor, which makes sense, it's icy and snowy, but the problem is no one else is doing it, really. He's the only one doing it. Makes it look more like his Season 24 stereotypical self. So while I love the story, and I think the set design on it's actually really good too. I do like the kind of diamond-looking set design in a lot of places. It definitely does have a few issues. Ghostlight. I love Ghostlight. I've raved about Ghostlight before on here. Ghostlight has an atmosphere to it that I just love. It's so heavy. It has this thick atmosphere that just hangs over it, like something hanging on your shoulders. I like the fact that it's dimly lit. I think the grainy look of the episode fits the tone of the episode. I like that McCoy doesn't really wear his hat much in this. Something about that, him wearing his darker attire without his hat, he seems a little more serious. I like that. I like everything going on with the story. I don't really care for the character of Light itself. The effect they use to pull him off is done well, but I don't like it, if that makes sense. I don't really like the effect, but I think they execute it well. And of course, Ghostlight is one of those stories where you're kind of sitting there going, what the heck is going on? It's kind of hard to know exactly what's going on. It's a little hard to follow. But I think it is really good. I think it's creepy. It's tense. And again, the atmosphere is what sells it for me. It has a strong rewatchability. There's a couple times where McCoy goes into his little falsetto fake voice he does when he's attempting to yell that bothers me. Like there's one time when I think he's talking to Light and he's and he says something, I forget, and I'm sitting here going, ham, bad McCoy, bad. Because I've heard McCoy actually yell. Like that time he actually saved Sophie's life in real life. I've seen that little behind the scenes clip when he says, get her out of there, and he actually yells, and that's an authoritative yell. But he has this occasion where he goes into this false voice, this fake voice, like in Battlefield, there will be no battle here, and I always roll my eyes. As someone who is theatrically trained, I always roll my eyes when he does that, because that's not a real voice. That's an actor yelling, and that always pulls me out. And there is a couple times in Ghostlight when he does that, but other than that, I think the guest cast do a really good job as well. I really love the eeriness of this story. Okay, actually, we're at number 3 on the list. I messed up my numbering originally, and I'm having to mentally fix it in my head. Number 3 on the list is where we are now. Is Paradise Towers. I have talked before about how much I like Paradise Towers. I've only watched it once, but I really enjoyed it. I like Richard Briers in this role. I know some people think he was miscast. I enjoy it in it. Even the part when he's taken over by the architect, because we're talking about an entity that hasn't had a physical body in a while. It's now in a physical body that's not its own, so naturally it's going to move a little wonky. You know, imagine you haven't had a body for hundreds of years and suddenly you do, but it's not your old and it's a new one. You know, the new body takes a little getting used to, like a new house, you know. So I don't mind the way Briers acts that. I really like Sylvester McCoy in this because he's not that stereotypical season 24 Sylvester McCoy. He is very serious in this story. It's interesting seeing him running around with an umbrella that's not his traditional umbrella, too. I don't know why, but that's interesting. I like Ace in this. I like the, is it Ace? No, Mel. Mel in this. Mel tends to annoy me, actually. But I like the fact that the two cannibal ladies want to eat her. I like the cannibal ladies. And how, I kind of like how they get their comeuppance with the thing grabbing them and pulling them through the little, pretty neat. I think the architect's design is set up pretty well. He's creepy when he's over there hungry with the lights flashing. That's pretty neat. And then the character of, what's his name? Pex or whatever his name is. I like him because he is an actor who's overacting, but it fits the character. We're talking about someone who is pretending basically to be the action heroes he saw on TV. It would be like if I was pretending to be, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger from Commando. You're going to be that kind of over-the-top, larger-than-life, acting out, hi, I'm Pex and I'm here to save you. You know, that I could see someone who, that's what they saw as a child, someone who honestly still isn't even really a man yet. I could see them having that mentality. So Pex, or whatever his name is, being that way actually fits for me. But I enjoy Paradise Towers, especially watching the behind the scenes and how they originally wanted like just old, out of shape men in the roles, and how that instruction book the doctor has was originally supposed to be like this thick. If they had done those little things, it would have made it even better. Oh, hell, the great architect. What do? Kill him. I love that line. And just how the doctor tricks him and gets out. I like that. I need to rewatch Paradise Towers sometimes with the original audio track, because I know it has 2 audio tracks. I haven't watched the one with the original track. I want to do that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think it's an underrated story. Which brings me to number 2 on the list. And number 2 on the list is the Happiness Patrol. And to me, the Happiness Patrol and Paradise Towers have similarities to them. I have often heard that if you like one, you'll like the other, and if you don't like one, you won't like the other. Of course, I just watched Happiness Patrol a couple days ago. One of the reasons it ranks so high is it is so fresh on my mind, possibly. But I talked in my reviews for it how much I just love McCoy in this. He has great speeches, like when he talks to Helen A at the end about how sadness and happiness are 2 sides of the same coin. That speech he has when the guy's holding the gun to him, it's just marvelous. I like the actress playing Helen A. She plays that so well on so many levels. I really like the energy Ace has in this story. I like the one girl that Ace kind of befriends in this story. I like the set design a lot. I like that the girls in the Happiness Patrol squads, when they're very, very 80s outfits, which are very reminiscent of the Kang's outfits from Paradise Towers. Very, very 80s. I love everything 80s. Well, not everything 80s, but I tend to like the 80s. So I enjoy Happiness Patrol. Just the idea of a story where, what if you lived on a planet where everybody has to be happy? Where being happy could be a bad thing, where you don't want to be happy, but you're forced to be happy. That's a fascinating concept because, as I mentioned in my review, happiness is, it's a state of mind. You can't force somebody to be happy. That's just more than likely going to have the opposite effect. If you try to pressure somebody to be happy, it's going to make them even more happy. Probably irritate the heck out of them, actually. So it's something that has to happen organically. So that's a fascinating concept to me, and I really enjoyed the story more. Just the concept itself fascinates me and really endears me to the story, but the performances sell it too. The Candyman's a bit wasted, but I like the performance of the guy who created the Candyman and Helene's husband. I like how they leave her on the planet. I love that whole scene. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Happiness Patrol. And the number one on my list, which, as I said at the beginning, isn't my favorite story by McCoy. I don't know if I have a favorite story by McCoy. But if I had to pick the one that is the quintessential McCoy story you need to see, is The Curse of Fenrik. I do really like The Curse of Fenrik. It's not a perfect story, but McCoy is so good in this one. This is definitely Chess Master McCoy. If there's ever two stories I point to where you deal with Chess Master McCoy, it's Remembrance and Curse of Fenrik. He really is playing everything ahead of time here. The darker outfit really fits him in this story. But I like all of the acting. Nick Parsons is great in this. Ace is great. Sylvester is great. The guy playing the main Russian commander, the one that gets possessed right at the end, he is great. The guy playing the professor in the wheelchair is great. Even the two girls that go swimming in the lake, they're good. And what happens to them? That scene when they lure the soldier in the water. Come play with us. That's a dumb soldier. He kind of deserved that. I don't know if I'm there and I see these two women, come play with us with these long nails, and they're looking at me like, I'm thinking, time to go. Time to go. I gotta go. I'm out. I've seen too many horror movies like this. Time to go. I have a couple issues. I don't like how Nick Parsons' character gets killed in it. It feels kind of needless and just there for a character death, especially since I liked his character. So I don't like the fact that it just seems needless. I wish they had done that more effectively. Most of the rest of it, I think I really enjoyed. The story, I do find the story a little overrated, but I do think it's essential Doctor Who viewing. When somebody asked me one time, like the Sylvester McCoy story they needed to watch, I said this one. I like the design on the Hemivores. That's a kind of fish vampire thing. I like that. I like the fact that, much like Day of the Dalek, it sets up how he convinces like the Hemivore king, what you're about to do is what sets up your existence later. That kind of, you cause and effect thing of, you cause your own problems in the future. I like that. That's pretty neat. I like the showdown between the Seventh Doctor and Fenrik and how they're kind of age-old enemies. That's pretty neat. I love seeing Chessmaster McCoy here. I like what he puts Ace through in this story about how he kind of like what Matt Smith has to do with Amy in the God Complex, how he has to break her faith in him. Because that's kind of cruel to have to do, but he has to do it for her own good. And then, of course, finding out that woman that she helps and that the baby she helps is her own mother, that's pretty neat. I enjoyed that scene as well. Yeah, I like The Curse of Fenrik. Plus, the location of filming is just really, really good. Really good. It's a good story, a little overrated. It probably isn't even my favorite McCoy story, but I can't really pick a McCoy story. Like I said, this isn't just my top 10 favorite. It isn't just the ones I think are the top 10 best. It's kind of a meeting in the middle ground of the two. It really was hard to do this list. It was really hard to do this list. And if I did the list next week, it could be different. I don't know. But that's how I would rank the McCoy era. I would like to know how you would rank the McCoy era. So comment down below and let me know what you think of my list and how you would rank the McCoy era. It's interesting having seen a whole era of Classic Who now. Interesting. Other things to do while I have you here, go ahead and click that like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. If there's anything you would like to send me, my P.O. Box is down in the description below, as is a link to my Patreon if you would like to support me that way. Anyone that joins at any tier level gets a free video request for something they would like me to talk about. I also have an Amazon wish list. There is a link to that down in the description as well. I have updated that recently. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.